Hey everyone, Pat from Aeroflow Performance, and today I'm going to introduce you to the range of heat shielding products that we have within the Aeroflow Performance lineup. So first thing I'm going to show you is basically this peel and stick, or the adhesive heat shielding products that we have. So we've got a couple of different products here that can be basically formed and stuck onto an area that will protect from radiant heat, say from something that's a heat source, and then you want to protect, say, the finish or the paint within your engine bay or under the car if it's a really detailed car. You can basically just peel the backing off this and then stick it on to wherever it needs to apply. So this is our heat and sound barrier, which will basically protect from, as the name suggests, heat and sound. So it's a thicker material, it's around 3 mil thick. It's like a bitumen based sort of product. It's a little less flexible than, say, the Aluminized style one here. However, it does provide that greater protection. So you can put that underneath a vehicle to protect from road noise, radiant heat from the road surface itself, and also you can line that, say, inside your vehicle underneath the carpeting, which will protect not only from heat but also from sound as well. So to make the vehicle a lot more comfortable to be in for a long period of time. Obviously there's a weight penalty there, so if it's a race car, probably not exactly what you're looking for, but you're also not trying to hide sound necessarily from your race car. So that one's the heat and sound barrier. We've also got this Aluminized style product here, which can be purchased in a few different sizes, strips, and also sheets. You can cut it to whatever size you need, and then again it's got the same peel off backing, so you just peel that off. You can apply it to whatever it is that you need, so whether you wrap that around a heat source or if you apply that to an area that you want to protect from heat coming from something else. We have the little roller applicator here, which has a sealed bearing spindle roller. That's a urethane 50mm roller wheel on top, which allows you to basically apply and stick the product to the area, so you can basically get it down there nice and smooth. And the adhesive is pressure sensitive, so the harder you press it down, the more it will activate and the better it will work. The benefit of that pressure sensitive adhesive is, say particularly with this heat and sound barrier, if you're just basically checking out where it needs to go, you can peel the backing off, and if you lightly just place it where you want it, or where you think you want it, before you make that final decision, you can peel it straight back off. So you get sort of a bit of a second chance if you don't apply it. But once you've basically rolled it down, or you've applied a great deal of pressure to that adhesive, it will be stuck there and it's not designed to move anywhere. So make sure you use that last once you're ready to go. Both of these products will resist up to 1100 degrees Celsius radiant heat, and then 650 degrees direct heat. So you've just got to be, you've got to consider what it is that you're trying to protect. I mean, you probably wouldn't put this right next to a turbocharger rehousing, for example, because that's going to give the adhesive and the product itself a bit of a hard time. However, the rest of the exhaust system, so a little bit further down as the peak temperatures start to drop off, that's perfect for that application. So something to keep in mind for those. And the second type of insulation product that we have here, if we come across to this side of the bench, we've got these applications where they'll basically, you can protect not only things around a heat source, but also the heat source itself. So if you've got something that's a really high temperature component that you're trying to keep heat away from heat away from other components, but then also keeping other elements off that. So again, I know I used the turbo housing before as an example, but it's a really good example because you've got an extreme amount of heat, so potentially 800 degrees Celsius, inside that turbine housing. So there's a lot of radiant heat coming off that. But also, if you've got other things like, say, breather tanks or catch cans or overflow tanks or anything like that, where you can have some fluid or some oils or some sort of liquid in the engine bay, you want to make sure that you don't get any direct contact with that. So you can use, for example, the aluminized shielding that we have here, the embossed shielding, which can be bent, cut, shaped to any shape you like. That's not only going to protect and keep the heat in from getting out to all the other components, but it's also going to give you that bit of protection, that physical protection from outside as well. If you get fluid or oil or something on to, say, that turbine housing for a turbo, not only is it going to cause potential fires, but you can also damage the turbine housing because you have that heat shock issue where you're going to cool it down so much that then you'll have that contraction and then extreme expansion at the same time, and you can damage your components. So that's a great thing to keep in mind when you're considering some of these high temperature components. We've also got this aluminized insulated cloth back sheeting, which can be, again, cut and shaped to any form. So you can use that to wrap around exhaust pipes, intercooler pipes, for example, any cooling system components. And basically you can just wrap that around. You can form it to the shape that you want. You can hold that down with steel straps or even riveting it in place, depending on what it is that you're applying it to. But that gives you that complete flexibility. You can mold it, you can shape it, you can wrap it. You can go a couple of times around if you've got something that's extremely hot, for example, make it into whatever shape that you need. And then, of course, cut it and make it work for your application. So plenty of different options there. The embossed shield, if we go back to that quickly, again has multiple layers of aluminium there. And that's really easy. With just some tin snips, you can cut it and form it to whatever shape you like. You can bend it to a round shape, you can make it a square box to cover, say, again, talking about those overflow catch cans, talking about power steering reservoirs, which always suffer from a lot of heat, steering racks, anything that you want to have a physical barrier that will then have an air gap. And that's really important for heat shielding as well. So if you've got an air gap between the component that's creating the heat and what you want to protect, that airflow is going to be able to extract the heat. Whereas if you just completely enclose it, then it's probably going to retain that heat for a lot longer. So that's a great option for exhaust manifolds and things like that. You can cut and form. Okay, and our final type of insulation that we're going to talk about today is really designed to protect hoses and wiring. So looms, individual runs of wiring, AN hoses or radiator hoses, anything that you're going to be transferring fluid or crucial electrical components that are going to be in an area that's got a high amount of temperature in it. So you can't always keep the heat away from everything. You've got to, especially in modern engines and aftermarket ECU setups where you've got a million sensors on the car, you're going to be running wires and sublooms and things all around wherever there's a great deal of heat. So these components will really give you that protection. So we've got basically the Aeroflow heat guard, which is your insulation product on the inside, fiberglass style insulation product, and then this high temp rubber outer, which will protect from the heat source, but also allows you to get quite complex bends. You've got a little bit of expansion there as well. So the great thing about this is if you've got say you're running a Teflon hose, for example, with AN fittings on it, the hose outside diameter is much smaller than the actual fitting diameter, but you want this to be nice and snug on that hose. So the benefit of this rubber outer is that there's quite a bit of stretch, as you can see quite easily. You can get that over the fitting, for example, or if you've got like a 90-degree fitting where it's quite a complex, a tight bend, you can use that stretch to get it over the top. and then obviously it'll slip over the rest of the hose quite easily, and then to the other end where the fitting is over the top again. So it makes insulation and installation of that product really easy, which makes it a bonus. I even use that on the transmission shifter cable in my car, for example, as well as numerous other hoses and whatnot that we're protecting in the car. We've also got this braided style loom wrap. So again, there's a lot of expansion there. So if you're going over the top of plugs, weather pack connectors or dish connectors or something like that, and then back down to the loom itself with the wiring, there's plenty of expansion there. Now this is going to provide protection of the temperature, but also it gives you abrasion protection. So if you've got a long run of wiring loom, obviously you want to fix that off with some sort of a P-clamp or cable ties or whatever it is that you're using in your application. But if you've got a lot of vibration, if it's a race car, if it's any sort of vehicle really, there's a lot of vibration as you're driving down the road, so you don't want that loom to be rubbed through, and that's going to create quite a bit of abrasion protection with that woven style product, as you can see there. We also have this smaller version of that, which is not quite as flexible. As you can see, it's quite a small run, but same principle. So you've got heat protection and you've also got the abrasion protection with these type of woven products. All right, the third type of hose and wiring insulation is this aluminized product. So as you can see, this is very similar to the sheet that we spoke about before. It's got the fiberglass style insulation on the inside, which you can see in this larger one. It's a bit easier to see that, which will protect from heat, of course. And then the aluminized outer gives you protection from fluids. So similar to what we spoke about with protecting those components from any fluid spills as well as heat, the aluminized item will, obviously everything will just run straight off that. So it's not going to get any penetration to the item that you're trying to protect. And then there's a little bit more resistance to direct heat from this aluminized style of product there as well. Multiple different sizes, they come in rolls, you can cut it to suit whatever it is that you need. Again, using steel straps to retain it, hose clamps even, just for the ease of application. You can pull them on and off quite easily. All three of these products have basically the same heat rating. So they're designed to withstand directly 260 degrees Celsius and then splashes of up to 1100 C. So if you've got, say, your wiring loom running across an area that is going to see maybe not a sustained temperature, something that will come up and then go down, so potentially a street car turbo application where it's going to get really hot when you give it full throttle, and then you're going to be cruising around, so it's going to come down again. That's sort of one of those applications where you'd find it. So plenty of different options there. Again, not designed for direct contact. So plenty of guys, including myself, who use this type of heat guard for spark plug leads. So on an LS, we cover the spark plug lead with this, heat shrink it on to the boots. Now, that's perfect for that as long as this isn't resting on the manifold, on the turbo manifold or the header, for example. If that's getting direct 500-600 C, that's going to melt that. So keep that in mind. Use the right product for the right application. A little bit of common sense goes a very long way. All right, everyone, now you know about the heat and sound insulation products. If you need any more guidance, please feel free to get in contact with us. You can call us on our tech line, or you can contact us via sales@aeroflowperformance.com, and we'll be happy to help you out and point you in the right direction. So now you know all about the heat and sound insulation products. You can check them out at your quality retail outlet, your local distributor, or jump online at aeroflowperformance.com.